Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Let's continue with the rest of these slides. So for this one is newly added contents for this new edition, the fourth edition. So it enhanced more about AI ethics. So in chapter 1, it also mentioned about this AI benefits and the risks. So AI benefits maybe it's very direct, and AI risks maybe you didn't care too much. So we want to mention about this in the introduction chapter, and then we'll talk about it in detail in the maybe 26th chapter. Okay. So the AI benefits. The first one is that AI will benefit a lot on different regions. For example, here we list some of them: economic, social, scientific, medical, financial, military. So that's easy to understand. Okay? Economic ones. So we improve the economy by replacing some repetition work. Social, so social media, so like this, and also maybe we can also, for example, use AI techniques to send the related information to the target audience, target people. And then scientific. So AI will help the scientific development as well. And the medical, for example, we can do remote operation. Financial, okay, maybe I mentioned many, maybe 60% of the stock exchange, the activity that have been done by robots, by programs, rather than by people. Right? So we can save resources, and also maybe they are smart than people. Okay, military. And then, of course, we can use the AI to do a lot of things. For example, we mentioned about resource management. And here we list because they have such impact on different regions, different fields of our life, and then it have such benefits. Here, just several examples. For example, it can free humanity from repetitive work, just like I mentioned for the cars, automotive drive, cars assembling, right? Like the assembly, like these things, and also other repetition work. So we use, for example, assembling the cell phone, right? Mobile phone. We also can use robot arms. Like we mentioned some examples before. For example, we can use clothes folding machine to do some work for us as well. And also we can do something else using these things. And also you can think about for some dangerous environment, we can send robots rather than people to explore. For example, if we have a hurricane season, if we can have AI dragonfly, we can have something we can do, mounted with the sensors. We can measure the things, use maybe unmanned with a vehicle, UAV, correct? So that means we can reduce the risks to people. And then also the next one, it can dramatically increase the production of goods and the services. So we mentioned those things because this can improve our efficiency. And even for cures for disease, because AI now is even used for drug discovery. Okay, because this is related to chemistry, and also of course related to medical science, medical related things. So they can explore a lot of choices and then propose some new drugs. Okay. And the next one is last but not least. Okay, not last but not least one. And solutions for climate change and resource shortages. Okay. That's the AI benefits. Benefits. Just like the Google DeepMind CEO Demis Hassabis mentioned about, we first solve AI. So DeepMind is AlphaGo, right? We mentioned AlphaGo's inventor company, right? So it was purchased by Google, okay, before that Go game. So first solve AI, then use AI to solve everything else. So it's like this. That means this one we are just like optimistic comment on AI. We want to use AI to do a lot of things for us. Okay. So let's look at AI risks. So we already know AI has a lot of benefits, but also can also cause a lot of problems to people potentially. So we need to take care of them. For example, here we list maybe 5 to 6 facets about AI risks. The first one is the lethal autonomous weapons. We mentioned before, correct? For that example, where AI, this one. Okay. This one, correct? AI weapons. So Ethan Hawking, the scientist, Musk, and Wands mentioned about this. They signed on this letter. Just maybe AI weapons. We need to cause attention from people. We need to have governance and regulations from people rather than just let it go freely and then master or just controlled by a small amount of people. Okay. So this is the first concern, correct? First concern, because it will damage our humankind, maybe. So, for example, what is the lethal autonomous weapons? United Nations give a definition for it. It's weapons that can locate. That means you want to find the person, correct? So, still remember in the early of this year, 2020, correct? I think it is one person from Iran, correct, was removed by U.S. Army, U.S. Army, just based on, I think, of course, they don't dispatch person. They use some weapons as well. They can position, locate, and based on some intelligence, and then they found the person, and then that's caused a problem concern is in the beginning of this year. If, for example, we use these AI weapons in an unruled way, just like for example, it causes a problem to a lot of people. I mentioned, for example, I want to remove some older people from one country, and all the people I hate, and something like that, or all the people in another party. So that's really a problem. So we must take care of these things. So that means can locate, select. That means find a location, select a group. Animate means want to kill the person. Correct? Human targets, because this is targeted for human. That's bad things. Correct? I think all the weapons has this bad things. Bad effect, because they want to kill people, correct? Want to kill people without a human intervention. Of course, sometimes maybe wars. We want to trade wars for peace. So, but we cannot violate the human rights, correct? Human rights. So we don't hurt common people, which are it's without any guilty, correct? Guilty. So this is so that means this one has a scalability concern. For example, like I mentioned, for example, large number of weapons can be deployed by a small group. For example, if some small group have the control on a large number of weapons, because it's AI weapons, we don't just use drones, correct? Because they can repeat by a lot. and based on any arbitrary recognition criteria. If without humans' intervention, this will be a very dangerous problem, very dangerous problem. Arbitrary recognition criteria. So the solution is that always governance and regulations. That's also the main reason I want to enhance this task. So if you don't know AI, maybe you don't do anything bad to the people. But if you know AI, you need to use it in a legal way, in a correct way. I don't want to my students use AI to hurt humankind. So of course, this is also our responsibility. And there are more and more discussions on these things. Even for example, like the autonomous driving cars, so we have a lot of concerns on these things as well. We said that from L4 to L5, this is two ranking. We need to use a lot of efforts to achieve that maybe 1% or 5% security. Okay, so then that's also very challenging. There are challenging tasks there, but we have to do that because that will be a very dangerous problem. It's related to, we can say it's like a critical applications. If for example it's a computer, if something wrong, we restart, even we lost the hardware. But if it's human related or society related, they can cause very significant damage to the people, society. For example, if self-driving cars, we have a robust issue, they hurt society as well. They can damage the buildings and also can kill people. That's important. So we must have from this one, we need to consider from the two parties. First one is the NGO, the other one is the government. Of course, the government has the main responsibility, and the NGO can propose some ideas, some regulations. Okay, so because this is common, even in other sectors, other engineering and related sectors, they also have their own regulations. Okay. So the next one is surveillance and persuasion. Surveillance, of course, this one also have a lot of concern in the society. In this one, for example, whether like a face recognition and the tracking and the surveillance video and like these things. We have also human rights concerns and your own rights. We don't want all of our things have been controlled, been tracked by the government, or by some small groups. Okay, if like that, we don't have any freedom. Especially, I think you also saw some news. For example, for example, from Xinjiang province in China, and all there's a lot of news reporting about this one. And also in China, there's a lot of cameras. That's why maybe you can find, okay, the crime rate maybe is lower down because it's very easy to identify the person, but it also has a negative impact. So the government can find anybody's activities because they have a lot of cameras everywhere. So if maybe this has just like a double-sided sword. So what we need to consider, of course, we have a trade-off. Without these cameras, enough number of cameras maybe have an issue. Too many also have an issue. So it must you have a trustful government to utilize this information. If you don't trust the government, of course, maybe you have the rights to fight for these rights. Then I don't want to be tracked for everything, like this. Okay, but here we don't want to involve politics because that's a dirty part. I don't want to say politics, but in our scientists, but it related to government governance, correct? So we want to mention about this one. So use AI speech, for example, AI related things. We use speech recognition, computer vision. So use camera, we can use video, image processing, and the natural language understanding for mass surveillance of individuals. So this is not only surveillance videos, even they can listen to your talks and read your social medias, understand it, correct? So for example, if I want to, the government want to identify some person they don't like, they can just listen to them. Just this is not good, correct? This is not a good thing. So we need to consider, because this is risks. Okay, for mass surveillance, of course, for some person, that means has issues, correct? Has issues. So potentially have maybe we're making crimes. So maybe you can do according to rule, maybe can do. But if you do mass surveillance of individuals, that's a issue for all of us, correct? For all of us. Just like USA, I think the UN they want to have as small as possible government, correct? Don't want to interfere with our daily life. Okay, I also prefer like that, just because we otherwise we don't have any freedom. But UN also has a trade-off between these two, correct? So sometimes some things need to be handled by the government, because our human cannot handle everything, and something maybe you have enough freedom. Okay, then that and then safe environment, that's maybe better. Okay, that's still the long topics. Okay, long talking topic for this one, the trade-off, how to do the trade-off. And then this is first one, surveillance. The second one is persuasion. For example, you can tailor information. This is really a concern. For example, now it's when like the current age, people only listen to what they want to listen. People only look at what they want to look at, because they have AI tools to help them to do that. Okay? That's the big concern. In the past, we only have a limited number of newspapers, TV stations, and even there's no network, correct? Even there's no network, but maybe only some gate network websites, no, not many. So now we have a lot of them, correct? And then you can subscribe the things you want to do. So you will enhance this understanding more and more. So you cannot have a very comprehensive understanding of the society, and your information maybe is biased, correct, based on the subscriptions. So I also want to raise your concern. Just think more about this one. This, of course, will bring challenges for the governments. Will also bring problems to ourselves, correct? So I also recommend you just listen to more sources, not listen to partially. There's an old saying in Chinese. There's some old saying called listen partially is not smart. Listen to more sources will make you bring more wise, just making wise decisions. Okay, just of course the translation is not like this one, but the idea is like this. Don't listen partially, right? Listen to only some specific groups. Listen to multiple sources. Then you can do verification. You can use your own judgment to filter out the untrue things, and then get the truth and help you to make a decision. This will bring good thing to us as well, correct? Because you need to make a decision every day, I think, correct? You want to continue with a PhD, master degree, or you want to go to work today. You want to take a risk to go to the Walmart or not, like this, correct? So you need to get information from website. Okay, what is safe now? What's the current status? What's the Mississippi COVID-19 situation? What's the government policies? What's the government's strategy to handle this one? So you need to make a lot of collect a lot of information, then make a decision, correct? So not listen to one resources, listen to more, and also use your you also can observe, correct, whether it's safe to go outside, and so like this, whether everybody wear mask, and whether there's a lot of people still not wearing masks, like this. Okay, whether you have potential to transmit the disease if you got the COVID-19 to your relatives, you have senior people at home, correct, like this one. Okay, anyway, I think the basic idea is that AI is not pure science. It is application oriented, so it will have a lot of concerns when we apply it in real case, in real life. It's correct, real life, because as long as it's more and more powerful, it will. If it's more powerful, means the damage will be also more dangerous, correct, more disastrous caused. So we want to raise your attention about this one. And then next one is biased decision making. Okay, similar like I mentioned, careless and deliberate use of machine learning algorithms. Careless, that means not well designed. For example, if you train an algorithm, you only select some selective group. You don't select just the groups cover all the distributions. For example, if I want to build a model to estimate who will be the next president, if you only select people from, for example, rural, or select people from suburb, or people from town, from cities, so each of them is a bias model, correct? When I learn the regression analysis, or experiment designs like this one, experiment design and analysis, these courses, the most important thing for those ones, because we use experiment design, we must make a design. We want to collect data. So basically, you want to sample the population. For example, you sample the whole population, and then you need to sample accordingly. So which groups need to have, each group need to have representatives. So you only select one, correct? That's not good. For example, if you want to use a telephone, that's also biased, because a lot of people don't use telephone. Okay, they use a cell phone, correct? Like this one. And also maybe people are working daily, they don't use a cell phone as well. They are busy, correct? So a lot of concerns. So you need a lot of polls that are not accurate just because of bad designs or different concerns. Even there's an error. Okay, there's an error there. So deliberate use, that's even worse. Okay, this one is just because of bad design. This is the deliberate use. Okay, for example, I want to persuade something to you to buy. Okay, I define the model. So you think deep learning is very powerful, better. Okay, I define a deep learning model which only will help me sell my products, and then just hide the negative part of the products. That's not good, correct? So this is the biased, correct? The biased decisions. So related to age, race, gender, all of the protected categories. So that means this is biased decision making. Will also make, will also be a concern. And the next one is the impact on the employment. We mentioned one example before, where the robots will just cause a problem to the employment, cause, for example, disruption to employment. Okay, this one do have some concerns as well. For example, we said till now experts don't have a conclusion on this one, but here we just show the risks. For example, AI may be shifted west from labor to capital, because capital, they have money, they have funding, they can build robots and then replace human labors. So human and workers don't have labor, this labor, we don't have chance to earn wages, and then they will become poor, and then wealth will they can make more profit because it's even cheaper. So the shifting wealth from labor to capital. So we need to consider these negative things. So government and the companies, all of them have responsibility, and the common people also need to have concern on these things. You must raise the attentions from people about this. And the AI advancement may cause disruptions to employment. That means may, right? That's possible because you can already find a lot. Okay, so if now, like now, for example, Amazon already have the unmanned, unmanned unmanned market, there's no person there to do the check-in, check-out, or something. So you just go to the store and then buy something, and then go out, and then you will receive a bill. Okay, just like that. Maybe you need to use your credit card to enter the market. Okay, next one is safety critical application. This is even more serious issue. Of course, the preferred weapon is also one, but the military application. This is just like a common life applications. For example, like the self-driving car, because it's safety concerns. If we don't do good design, or we use this one in a mass grade, just not only occasionally, we use it by a lot. Okay, mass applications, then it may cause fatal accidents to people. That's a really important issue we need to consider. Right? We need to consider. So the solution for this one is to develop technique and ethics standards like other engineering and healthcare disciplines, because it causes safety concerns to people. So similar like the other engineering, for example, construction and healthcare, they need to have standards, procedures, and rules, regulations. So for this one, before we apply into a large scale. And then cybersecurity. So of course we can use AI technology to detect potential threats to the cyber world, but also AI may become used, because you can use it, others can also use it. So AI techniques can be used to enhance the potency, survivability, and proliferation capability of malware. So that means large scale, and then last for a long time, and big impact. So this for malware, because they also can. I use AI techniques, just target on some persons, group of persons, based on AI techniques, and then send a specific message or just attack. Malware can be blackmail or phishing attacks, because that means those group of people are more vulnerable to this malware. So that means have even worse impact. So in fact, recently we also see a lot of phishing emails, for example, every day it's been like the recent 2 years, we have a lot of these things. So for example, like reinforcement learning in sending highly effective automated personalized blackmail and phishing attacks. Reinforcement learning, that means learn by doing, learn by rewarding. For example, if you make a crime is successful, and then you make another crime to the similar people, so this is the same idea. Just use reinforcement learning to see whether the reward is big or not, and then to adjust whether to continue or just change. That's reinforcement learning. We'll cover this one in the learning module, last chapter of the learning module. That's the two important things that I mentioned in this this second part of this class, today's class. The benefits, we know it have a lot of benefits, but it also have a lot of risks, especially we need to have pay a lot of attention to these things, risks. Okay. So for this class, this is chapter 1. This is also the conclusion part of chapter 1. So basically, we will cover the next one. Of course, we are continuing with the agent first, finish chapter 2 maybe by next week. And then we will cover the search and the learning. So basically, search part is about a sequential reasoning. So that means a solution is composed of a list of steps like this, right? Like the Go and chess and this one is checker or something. I forgot the name. Is another game, right? Another game. And this is just like a discrete, right? With a discrete states. And then for others, this like this one. For example, the self-driving car. So this is continuous. So it's different, right? But also have other things, not only just discrete and continuous. This is about the pattern recognition and the learning. So, for example, recognize the object, do the classification, recognize the digits, right? Classify this. Okay. And the learning, for example, robot, right? That's machine learning algorithm. So basically, we cover these two modules, and then of course we cover the next applications and the ethics. Okay. So philosophy of this class is that we use machines to solve hard problems that are traditionally thought to require human intelligence. So this is so in this course we will learn knowledge, but also we will do practice. We will have projects, correct? So that means we want to solve something which is hard for people as well. Okay. So a lot of hard people maybe just must use human intelligence. If it's not, we don't want to deal with those simple tasks. For example, like OCR, just read the letters. For example, you want to scan, okay? We don't think this scan the book. This is not a real intelligence now, okay? We said this is called a horizontal effect because it's already solved. We don't think it's intelligent. We will try to follow a sound scientific engineering methodology. Scientific means we need to learn some algorithms. Okay, for example, like a search, you will learn some A-star search, deep and the depth first search and the breadth first search, and maybe when you will learn the game, you will learn the first three game, so you will learn some algorithms, deep learning, learning part you will learn deep learning and reinforcement learning, convolutional neural networks. So that means we learn algorithms, and then we want to implement a solution for some problems based on the learned knowledge you have acquired in this course. So consider relatively limited application domains. So we just select some specific domains. So we are not just only develop AGI, artificial general intelligence program. We use well-defined input-output specifications. So in your project, you can find that. Okay, and then define operational criteria amenable to objective validation. So that means we have some evaluation. Zero in on essential problem features. So make the problem easier. Maybe I will provide you some hints about the problem characteristics. Focus on pre-simple and basic building blocks. Okay, this is the concern. Okay, for this one, we said we are well-defined input-output specification and so on. We will use Python, right? So because in the homework 1, the last question is programming, right? So programming, I think, is 40% of the homework 1. So it involves developing a program, program for environment. So basically, you need to implement PEAS, 4 components of an environment. So P is the performance measure, E is the environment. Okay, let's look at whether I have the question. Yes, this one. So this is the question, implement a performance measuring environment simulator. For the vacuum cleaner word depicted in figure this one, and specified on page this one, your implement should be modular so that the sensors, actuators, environmental characteristics, size, shape, dirt, placement. This means about the environment has this one. For example, you have 2 rooms and then you have a vacuum machine. So sometimes it can suck the dirt. Sometimes if it's clean, you need to turn to the right, turn to left to find whether there's dirt in any room. And sometimes maybe if all of the rooms are clean, so you can just do no option. So that means this one will define this system. So the P we mentioned is performance measurement, correct? And the E, okay, E is the environment, performance measure, environment. PEAS, A is actuators. For example, actuator, that means you can do some impact, you can take some actions on the environment. For example, turn left, turn right, suck, correct? Sensor, that means you need to know whether there's dirt in the room, so you need to have a sensor, means a camera, correct? So of course you will use the software to implement to do this. For example, dirt means you can mark it as 0 or 1. Okay, it's 1. Okay, it's dirt. If it's 0, it's clean. So that means we implement these four components. If actuator means turn left, turn right. Okay, environment. For example, if there's only two rooms labeling each other, then that will be easier. But if we may have more complicated rooms, that will be harder. Okay? So like this one. This is chapter 2 contents. So basically, we haven't covered that one. Okay? So you have a machine here. There's some dirty. Okay? So you will let the machine suck it up, finish, check this one, and then check this one. Turn left, turn right. Of course, this is the simple one. So you look at this one to see whether it's the same. So for this one, we hope you can start to use the Python. Right? Use Python to implement. Okay, use Python. So that's why, in fact, today my plan is that we want to cover Python, but I think we don't have enough time to cover in detail. So my preference will be you first learn by yourself, and then we'll talk about this one next week. And we also will delay, because this one you can find, we postpone the deadline for homework 1 by 1 more week, so we can finish next week for chapter 2, and then you need to submit the homework next week before the class. So next Wednesday. So that will be the deadline. I will change that one shortly, so it should be 16, right? September 16. The delay by 1 week. So this one involves one example for the Python programming, and I also strongly recommend you to use Python, because this is already a good time for you to start learning and use it in practice. Right? So if you go to this website, the book's website, AI book website I mentioned, okay? You just saw AI, a modern approach, and then you can find that we have a code. So that means that question also mentioned about this one, okay? For some type of a language, it already have the code, okay? For some template code, okay? For some choices of programming language and the operating system, there are already implementation in the online repository. So of course you cannot use the code directly, but you can refer to the code. If you want to use this opportunity to enhance your learning of Python, that's perfect. I suggest you do like that, because you have 2 more weeks to finish this one. You can first learn Python. After we finish the agent, and then you can start the implementation within 1 week. And then you can also, when you learn Python, you can also download the code to learn. Just learn by example. For example, you can find here it provides different program languages. Lisp is very popular AI language, especially because working on a table. But now we use Python more than others. C#, Julia, JavaScript. And then just click this one. And then because this is a vacant, you search VAC, vacant, and then you find there's a Python notebook. So Python notebook, I think I provide some instruction in the tutorial as well. So Python is a development environment. It contains a lot of tools. So Python notebook, that means they can mix text with code together, and also in this document you can run the code. So that means this is a very good resource for you to present your code to others. That's why you can find it here. You just read this document. It will be very beneficial for you to implement. Of course, if you don't want to use Python, you want to use Java or something for the first project, it's also okay with me. So you need to look at those packages, whether they have the similar code. If they don't have, you can still refer to this one to finish your project. Finish your programming homework, not a project now. It's only one simple program. This program, in fact, this one already provide a lot of things. So we have actions. If it's taken left, now location is B, and then we have a performance measurement, which is -1, because you turn right, you need to use some guess, and then turn left. Similarly, now your location is A, because you can turn left means you from B to A, and the performance will also be -1. And then else we do the stacking. Stacking will increase the performance by 10 if the current status is 30. So in fact, this one is already, you can find DEF here is a defined definition, and the class, similar like the object-oriented programming, the same. We encapsulate all the related functions and data together in a class. So the basic grammar is not hard for you. And then you also follow this. This one is the first resort. You follow this one, follow this tutorial to install the whole environment. I recommend you use Anaconda. Do not use just only Python. So you install Python itself will bring a lot of problems later, because Anaconda can do automatic maintenance. If there's some packages need to update, they can do it by itself. If you don't do like that, you need to do by yourself. So here I provide a very simple tutorial, just make you start, help you start. I believe I will spend some time in helping you to catch up for something else. So this one is very easy to follow. And after you install the environment based on the Anaconda, and then you can start to learn this book, online book I mentioned to you. And also you can look at this tutorial. This one is about CNN, Convolutional Neural Networks. Is also an AI course offered by Stanford University. So CS231N is a very famous course. We also have covered similar chapters related to them. And they also provide a Python tutorial. It's about Python NumPy. Look at this one. In fact, you can also run your Python in your Visual Studio. That's in fact, when I grade your homework or project, I will also run in Visual Studio to see the results. So here I teach you how to do that. That's the idea. In Python, if you install that one, install Visual Studio, they already have that one. You can create a Python project. Okay, so you need to install Python support, and then follow this one. Okay, then you can debug. You can code debug. Okay. Anyway, this one is an important resource. So I will just upload another one. Last time I didn't upload because I didn't find that material. There's another one called the Python tutorial. This is the official Python tutorial. Of course, it's a little bit long. Of course, here is not long cut, but the links. This is the Python website official tutorial. Okay, it's more detailed. Data structures, modules, input, output, error handling, classes, and so on. It's really like a book, but they have a lot of examples. So for this one, in fact, they also have a book. If I'm interested, you can look at. Okay, I think this is the book, the Python 3.6 tutorial. Okay, for this one. You don't have to buy the book, right? I just let you know. So for example, you can just read from the tutorial. First install environment, and then start to learn this one based on Python 101. And then sometimes you want to test some experiments, because learning the knowledge, Python 101 is only some very simple examples. They don't have many complete programs. So you want to use some learn by practice, by examples. Then you can look at the tutorials. They have examples. Read from here is also okay. There's some examples from here as well. Okay. This is the basic things we can cover in this chapter, because last week we spent more time, 37 minutes more. So this week, I think I already exceeded the time. That's okay. So we only just cover these contents for this week, and then you start to learn Python, and then do maybe most all the questions related to chapter 1, and then leaving the questions for chapter 2 for the next 2 weeks. But during the time, you also learn the Python and even AI programming, how to do AI programming. Overall is the same. Not much difference. Just now is you have different concepts, like we mentioned the PEAS. Okay, you just define individually for each one of them. P, what is P? What is E? Performance measurement, how to measure performance. So you need to record the performance -1 +1. E is the environment. You need to have a data structure to have the room. So you can use an array, or you can use a matrix if you have 4 rooms. And then the PEAS actuators is easy, because you just turn left, turn right like this thing. It's just some operation. S is the sensors. Just also use software to detect whether the array is one element is 1 or 0, to know whether it's dirty or clean. Okay, that's all for this week's class, and then we'll see you next week. Yeah, have a nice weekend. Bye bye.